then you want to sort of figure out, okay, I know why it's happening. So what do I actually want? And this is where I warned you that I was going to bring up a Spice Girl song because you have to figure out what you want, what you really, really want. And you're welcome. So, and that's now in everybody's heads, and I've done my job. So, you know how you feel today. What do you want moving forward? And I think one thing that people sometimes naturally go to is, well, this is what I'm good at, which is awesome. Like, definitely want to lean into your strengths. The follow up question I always ask is, but is that the thing you want to be doing?
Mhm.
So, I may be really good at project plans, but I actually don't love doing them anymore. I want to sort of think more holistically and someone else give me the to-dos from it.
Mhm.
But that's a skill I have, but I may not love it anymore. So how do people sort of piece these things together around this is what I want, but this is also what I'm good at?
The first thing, and I think, a lot of people go into this situation, and to your sort of statement of like, this is what I'm good at, and they don't give themselves credit that they can transition sort of the
Mm,
fundamental skills. Like, people do it all the time. We work with people that want to make a transition into something new, and you sort of have to find the connective tissue between what you have done, and what you want to do in the future, and what's really going to be rewarding for you. Um, but I think the first step is just knowing that is possible, and it happens all the time. There is a point of being realistic with yourself too, of like, okay, if I'm super passionate about this, am I willing to take one step backwards
mm,
in order to make that transition? And am I passionate enough where I know that you can make up ground once you sort of get into the right career set? But those are two pretty important areas to like
yeah.
focus on. Like, you can make it happen. How much do you want to make it happen, and how motivated are you?
Yeah, it's really interesting. Several years ago, I was the HR partner for a department, and someone who is a manager of one team came to me and said, I really want to move over to this other team. I know I've never done it before, so I know I have to start off as an individual contributor. What roles are open? Let's talk about it. And she was great. So we definitely wanted to support her. This is probably an extreme example, but she took a significant salary cut to do it because she had to
Mhm.
go, quote unquote, back to the beginning to literally build those skills. But for her, she had the flexibility financially to do it. And it was important enough for her to make that change because she just knew she didn't want to keep going in the leadership change she was in. And she then became a manager of that team and took that forward and like built an amazing career off of it. But she had the professional maturity to say, I know I need to learn this and build credibility there. So even though I'm at this level now, I'm not that level over there. Help me
Yep.
figure out how to do that.
Yeah, yeah. I had a similar, like, one that stands out to me is, somebody that I hired, in my recent past, made a career shift, had went and got their MBA, which they poured a lot of money into, but they were passionate about. They wanted to make a shift in their career, so they didn't. Especially going back to school, like, they didn't have recent relevant experience, so they came in as a very entry level sort of project manager
Mhm.
position, but they were so passionate and so focused of like what they needed to do, being realistic about having to take a step back and having to learn, create an action plan around that. And that
Mm.
person became a director in a 2-year period.
Wow.
So it was a small startup, but he grew with the company,
Yes.
and was able to really just have hyper focus and get to where he wanted to be in a very quick amount of time.
Yeah. Well, and I like what you said about the action plan because I think another thing is as you're figuring out where your strengths are, how that overlaps with what you like to do. If there are other things you like to do or want to do that you don't have the experience with or aren't a strength, as you're figuring this out, you can start to dip your toe in a little bit and take a real easy online class or,
Mhm.
kind of just have fun on your own, like download Excel and just play around in Excel and learn how to do VLOOKUPs and all the things if that's something you want to learn. So it's an opportunity to start to feel like you're gaining traction or exploring different things without having to make the whole leap of, oh, so clearly I'm going to change jobs and companies and uproot everything I've done.
Yeah, but I think you brought up a really good point that's maybe worth expanding on in your story. Like, someone internally wanted to make a shift,
Mhm.
and they just started having conversations internally
Yeah.
because, Companies really value, for the most part, the people that they have, and they want to retain those people. And if they want to make a shift in their career, good managers, good people teams will have things in place to begin to have those conversations, build out an action plan of how someone can make a shift internally. So it doesn't always need to be, okay, I need to jump ship, I need to figure out an entirely different plan. You can sort of look inwards in some circumstances, and utilize the resources that you have in a company and maybe get at least your first step in the right direction.